CEO hired a single dad as her personal driver. Then he closed her $9 deal, sir. The $9 million deal is gone. Those words shattered the silence inside the luxury SUV just as Emily Carter, one of the youngest CEOs in Chicago, stared at the contract, trembling in her hands. Her biggest business opportunity was collapsing, investors were furious, and the company she had spent years building was on the edge of disaster. But the person sitting behind the steering wheel, a quiet single father named Daniel Harris, was about to change everything in a way no one could have imagined. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, please like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to Bright Hayart. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories to life. Daniel Harris had never imagined that his life would bring him here. Just 3 years earlier, he had owned a small construction company and dreamed of giving his daughter Lily the best future possible. But one terrible accident at a work site changed everything. Lawsuits, debts, and medical bills forced him into bankruptcy. His wife, unable to handle the pressure, walked away and left him alone with 6-year-old Lily. Every morning, Daniel prepared breakfast for his daughter, took her to school, and spent the rest of the day driving people around the city. He hid his pain behind a gentle smile because he knew Lily needed her father to stay strong. No matter how difficult life became, Daniel refused to let bitterness take over his heart. Meanwhile, Emily Carter was fighting her own battles. Despite being successful, she constantly faced criticism from people who believed she was too young and inexperienced to run a billion-dollar company. Her life revolved around meetings, investors, and endless pressure. She barely slept and trusted almost no one. When her previous driver retired, her assistant hired Daniel after noticing his spotless record and professional attitude. Emily barely paid attention to him at first. To her, he was simply another employee. But Daniel quietly observed everything. During long rides between meetings, he listened carefully to business conversations without ever interrupting. Years of running his own company had given him experience most people never suspected. One rainy afternoon, Emily received devastating news. A massive $9 million deal with a real estate corporation had suddenly fallen apart. Months of preparation were disappearing before her eyes. The investors blamed her leadership, and her competitors were already celebrating her failure. Sitting in the back seat, Emily struggled to hold back tears. She had spent years proving herself, and now everything seemed to be slipping away. Daniel noticed her pain, but remained silent. After a few moments, he politely asked if he could say something. Emily looked surprised, but desperation made her listen. Daniel carefully explained that during the conversations he had overheard over the past months, he noticed one major problem. The company they were negotiating with wasn't rejecting the project itself. They were worried about long-term maintenance costs and lacked trust in the proposed structure. Daniel knew because he had spent years in construction. He suggested a few simple changes and recommended presenting a maintenance partnership instead of a one-time contract. Emily was shocked. She had never imagined that her driver possessed such knowledge. Although skeptical, she had no better options left. The next morning, Emily revised the proposal based on Daniel's suggestions. Hours later, the investors who had been ready to walk away suddenly changed their minds. The other company accepted the revised terms, and the $9 million deal was saved. Everyone celebrated Emily's success, but she knew the truth. Without Daniel, the company might have lost everything. For the first time in years, she saw someone who expected nothing in return and simply wanted to help. As weeks passed, Emily learned more about Daniel's struggles. She discovered the sacrifices he made for Lily, the nights he spent worrying about unpaid bills, and the dreams he had buried to become the father his daughter deserved. Deeply moved, Emily offered him a position as a business consultant. At first, Daniel refused. He had lost confidence in himself after years of failure. But Emily reminded him that one bad chapter did not define an entire life. Slowly, Daniel began believing in himself again. Months later, Daniel was sitting in a bright office instead of behind a steering wheel. Lily proudly told everyone at school that her father was a businessman again. The little girl who once worried about losing their apartment now watched her father smile with hope in his eyes. Daniel never forgot where he came from. He remained humble and treated every employee with kindness because he understood what it felt like to struggle alone. Emily, too, had changed. Success no longer mattered as much as loyalty, trust, and the people who stood beside her during difficult times. Sometimes, life doesn't send heroes wearing expensive suits. Sometimes they arrive quietly, carrying broken dreams and hidden wisdom, waiting for one opportunity to shine again. And sometimes, the greatest miracle is simply someone believing in you when you've stopped believing in yourself. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, which country are you watching Bright Haired from? We would love to know where our family of viewers comes from around the world. And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Bright Haired. Your support means everything, and your encouragement helps these stories reach people who may need hope today. Remember, even the darkest chapters can lead to beautiful endings, and sometimes one act of kindness can change a life forever.